Rats avoid harming other rats. The finding may help us understand sociopaths. Humans and rodents have similar brain structures that regulate empathy, suggesting that the behavior is deeply rooted in mammal evolution. By Liz Langley. It might be time to reconsider that it means to call someone a rat. Previous research has shown the much malignant rodents assist comrades in need, as well as remember individual rats that have helped them and return the favor. Now a new study builds on this evidence of empathy, revealing that domestic rats will avoid harming other rats. In the study published March 5 in the journal Current Biology, rats were trained to pull levers to get a tasty sugar pellet. If the re- if the if the lever delivered a mildy shock to a neighbor, several of the rats stopped pulling that lever and switches to another. Harm aversion is and it's known is a well-known human trait regulated by a part of the brain called the anterior cingulate cortex (ACC). Further experiments showed the ACC controls the behaviors in rat too. This is the first time scientists have found the ACC is necessary for harm aversion in a non-human species. This likeness between humans and rats' brains is super exciting for two reasons, says study co-author Christian Keizers of the Netherlands Institute for Neuroscience. For one, it suggests that preventing harm to others is rooted deep in mammals' evolutionary history. See what a rat look like when it's happy. What's more, the finding could have a real impact on people suffering from psychiatric disorders such as psychopathy and sociopathy, whose anterior cingulate cortexes are impaired. They currently have we currently have no effective drug to reduce violence in antisocial populations, Kaiser says, and figuring out how to increase such patients' aversions to hurting others could be a powerful tool. Human-like rats. For the first experiment, Kaisers and his team trained 24 rats of both sexes to push two different levers that produced a threat, until the animals developed a preference for one lever. At that point, scientists changed the experiment so that when a rat presses its favorite lever and got this candy, a neighboring rat will get a shock for the foot. When 9 of the rats hear their fellow rats squeak in protests, they immediately stopped pushing the preferred lever and switched to a less preferred one, which will deliver candy. The study rats shows a range of responses to the experiment, which surprised casers. For instance, one rat stopped using either of the levers once it registered the first shock, apparently distressed, and the other rats seemed indifferent either way, he says. Such variability is also exciting, suggesting that we might have similarities with individuals, differences in humans. Also, like humans, rats had limits to their empathy. When the experiment has repeated with a reward or of 3 candies, the rat that had previously switched levers and avoided harming their neighbors stopped doing so. Discover why rats show regret. I really thought that was amusing, but it also has the right ring of honesty and truth of it, says Peggy Mason, a neurobiologist at the University of Chicago, who has not involved with this study. For the second part of the experiment, Kaisers and his team used anesthesia to temporarily numb the anterior cingulate cortexes of the rats who had showed harm aversion. Intriguingly, when the experiment was repeated, this numbed rats stopped helping their neighbors. Selfish or altruistic? Overall, the findings raise the question of whether the rats are being selfish, for example, trying to shoot themselves, or actually trying to help their neighbors. The switchers are getting a vicarious experience that is unpleasant for them, Mason says. We are fundamentally mammals in the same way that rats are, and so our motivations are probably not different. Read about the surprisingly human-like ways animals feel pain. Jeffrey Mogil, a social neuroscientist at McGill University in Canada, agreed that this is an intriguing debate. Are the rats really being altruistic, or are they going it to reduce their own suffering because they get anxious when they see another rat being shocked? By stopping, are they helping the other rats? Are they helping themselves? It's a difficult question to answer, Kaiser says, though they argue for the reasons that people do good deeds are actually complex. Whatever the motivation, he adds, it's fascinating that the impulse to avoid hurting others is at least 93 million years old, which is when humans and rats diverged on the evolutionary tree. There are many other ways in which rats and humans are similar. For instance, like humans, rats get addicted to substances such as cocaine, are aware of aware of their own knowledge, a concept called metacognition, and exhibit violence when overcrowded. Learn how scientists made a rat super smart by modifying a single gene. In a world so full of conflict, he says, it is perhaps reassuring that there is something so ancient in our biology that ultimately promotes peace.